Welcome to the Stereoscopic Society's annual exhibition for 2022. Digital images were entered in 6 individual categories. These will be shown interspersed with sets of images from each of the selectors and also entries in the common theme category. Because of the pandemic, once again, no traditional print entries were accepted this year, though slide entries were allowed, these to be digitised for judging. The first category is digital, people, pets and domestic animals. This attracted 33 images from 20 entrants.
We start this section with an image from David Starkman, which he entitles The Kiss. Dave Wynne shows us St David's Cathedral, Women with Dogs. Ian Rawat calls this image quietly amused, presumably at Ian's strange camera. Also from Ian is this rugged cliff view which he entitles Cliff Top Couple. Stepping Stones is Jack Colbrand's title for this image. Josie has been photographed by Barry Reynolds using a Canon SX220 SDM rig. The next 2 images are from Chinese member Xiao Fenghua. First, a typical breakfast vendor taken in Shenzhen. And now, orange vendor, typical of the fruit sellers that appear later in the day and evening. Curious cows were photographed by Dave Wynne. This gentle scene of children at play, John Nichols calls Riverside Fun. Xiao Fenghua's image Wishes depicts a girl praying at a small temple whilst traffic passes by. I'm feeling a bit rough today is John Nichols' title for this animal portrait. Derek Medhurst captures this image as Another Mystery Passes the Stands. Reg Self's image, Spoiled for Choice, was taken in Cannes. Xiao Fenghua has spotted this Dayglow street cleaner taking a nap. All Xiao's pictures are taken with the Promar B02 3D smartphone. Bob Taylor has taken this picture of Old English game chickens. Ian Rawat's game of hide and seek picture he calls Found You. Leaping Dolphins is Carl Bromwich's title for this black and white image. RAF Cadets is the title of this RAF 100th anniversary parade image taken at Stowe Maries by Reg Self. Lee Pratt calls his image Chucky Schumer. Normandy Washerwomen is the title of this image by Roger Clements. Xiao Fenghua shows us the newly opened China shop in Shenzhen Airport. Keith Webb's image Horse Guards was taken at Horse Guards Parade adjacent to St James's Park in London. This picture of the Army and Film Photographic Unit, as represented at the Leicester Victory Show, was taken by Ian Hasty. Neil Crick calls his image Brain Cleaning. Ray Macmillan has captured this young girl having fun. This engaging image by Neil Crick he calls The Rat Catcher. Contented is the title of this porcine image by Ray Macmillan, and this image was commended. Also commended were the next two images, both by George Themelis. First, Alpaca Smiling. And now, Vinnie Winter Portrait. There were two runners-up in this category. First, we have Sleepy Morty by Vanessa Grine, who comments, "We adopted a kitten at the start of the pandemic. Now we have the most relaxed and clingy cat imaginable." The second runner-up is Vinnie Flying by George Themelis. But the winner is Barry Aldous with Late Autumn Morning Walk. Barry explains, "The Kirklees Valley Trail near Tottington replaces a disused railway branch line which now includes cobbles to the right painted by local school children and named the Totty Snake."
This set of images are by selector Helen Boville. The next category is digital scenery, and here 40 images were entered by 22 stereographers.
We start the scenery category with this 1998 image from David Starkman entitled Reflecting on Portmeirion. This picture, taken by George Collin at Rest Park in Bedfordshire, he calls Beginning to Turn. The Sella Group Massif viewed from the Sasso Longo in the Italian Dolomites. Roy Ashcroft calls his image Across the Sella Pass. Terry Turnber calls this beautiful picture Woodland Bluebells. Signs of Winter is by Barry Aldous, and Barry says, "Early snow enhances this local waterfall which leads from a disused reservoir to a River Irwell tributary." Bramble Sunset is by Bob Taylor. Henry Mills calls his picture Autumn. John Bunyan's image is called Normandy View. Kate Sullivan's image Life on Mars shows a section of the Broomway, an ancient path in Essex across Mapland Sands to Foulness Island. Henry Mills' picture, taken at the National Trust's Stourhead, features the relocated Bristol High Cross with the Pantheon in the background. This hyper image by Barry Reynolds is of Samaria Gorge in Crete. It was taken from a boat. Harry Atkinson has visited the Royal Horticultural Society's gardens at Wisley, where he encountered this unusual horse head statue. Kate Sullivan calls this image End of the Line, or alternatively, Not Trespassing on a Ministry of Defence Railway. Entrance to the Broomway, Britain's Deadliest Walk, is Kate Sullivan's title for this view. This offshore path can be very treacherous, particularly in fog with a rising tide. This snowy suburban scene by Henry Mills is entitled A Cold Blast. Terry Turnber shows us Sunlight on Derwent Water. Again at the RHS Wisley, Harry Atkinson has found this statue flying into a fountain. Jeff Ogram shows us Cappadocian chimneys. These are volcanic in origin and result from eons of erosion, leaving columns of tuff with a basalt cap. This locomotive is at the Trans-Namib Railway Museum. Dennis Buursma photographed it at Windhoek in Namibia. This view, taken at the Villa d'Este in Tivoli near Rome, is by Nikolai Bazov. A fountain in front of a lights tunnel was taken by Harry Atkinson at the RHS Gardens at Wisley. Cinque Torri is another Italian Dolomites view from Roy Ashcroft. It's situated in the Nuvolau group near Cortina. Paul Hutchins shows us Madeiran scenery. Walking the Broomway is another image of this strange path from Kate Sullivan. It gets its name from the large inverted besom brooms which used to mark it. Again at the RHS Gardens at Wisley, Harry Atkinson shows us this viaduct-like plant shelf. Warden Hill's Winter Stubble is by George Collin, who was impressed with the dead straight furrows, taken in winter on the outskirts of Luton in Bedfordshire. Madeiran Cliffs was taken by Paul Hutchins. In Portmeirion Italian Village, Brian Davis has captured some of the detail in this romantic site built by Clough Williams Ellis in North Wales. Victoria Harbour, Hong Kong, is by Eddie Kwok. We now have two images on the theme Stranded by Dennis Buursma. First, Stranded in the Desert, and now Stranded on the Beach. Andrew Bloxham tells us Knaresborough Viaduct carries the Harrogate line over the River Nid. Water on the Bridge. This slightly disconcerting view of Brooklyn Bridge is from David Starkman. There are 4 commended images in the scenery category, and the first is Autumn Park from Nikolai Bazov. Also commended is Purbecks near Lulworth from David Ford. David says, "The Purbecks are a line of hills on the Dorset coast, a delight for views and fresh air." Another commended image is Cadinidi di Misurina from Roy Ashcroft. This magnificent mountain is located in the Dolomites in the province of Belluno. Cathy Ford's formal garden image that she calls A Place to Relax is the last of the commended images. There are 2 runners-up in the scenery category, and the first is Croatian Hills from Paul Hutchins. Second runner-up is David Kuntz with Valley of Fire. And the winner is Lee Pratt with White Sands Afternoon.
In the Common Theme category, members are invited to enter a set of up to 4 images with brief supporting text to illustrate their theme. There were 18 entries.
Stereo macrophotography is Bernard Foote's theme, meaning a magnification of 1 up to 20 at the sensor. The subjects here are all man-made metal artefacts, and the first is a ballpoint pen. The second is a spark plug. The images were made with an extension bellows with either a microscope objective or a Canon MP35 lens mounted. A rusty 1/4-inch British Standard Whitworth thread is the third image. Stereo macro lets us see normal objects in a quite different and often beautiful way. The fourth image is of the teeth on a Yale key. In all of these, it is interesting to spot all the dust and dirt everywhere. David Wynn's theme is Labradors and water. Dave's dog is called Punky, and the first image is called Punky Dog Pond. Labrador retrievers are known for their affinity with water. The second image is Punky Dog Puddle. Dave has used a W3 to try to capture both the movement of the animal and the chaos of the water and their shared spirit and energy. The third image is Punky Dog Waves Deep. It is Dave's hope that he has captured the love that the dog has for movement in this watery environment. The final image is Punky Dog Waves Spray. Neil Crick's theme is Tudor-inspired pictures photographed in Athelhampton House in Dorset. First we have The Maid. Next, A Tudor Gentleman. And now, a Tudor hairdo. Finally, we have a Tudor lunch. Next, Rob Cayley explains Random Acts of Crochet Kindness is a nationwide Facebook group set up to promote crocheted pillowbox toppers. This one is called Welcome to New Brighton. And this one, Ollie Octopus. The pillowbox toppers have become very popular during the pandemic. Christmas Scene is the title of this one. Rob says, "This is my small tribute to the efforts of members in my local community." The final one is entitled Spring is in the Air. Derek Medhurst's theme is Renovation Station. Sevenoaks historic Bat and Ball station has been renovated using lottery funding. Here, the old safe has just been removed. And here, the partially exposed original fireplace is revealed. Part of the project is to convert the former ticket office into a delightful cafe. This picture shows the markings on a hinge taken from a door. And this one shows the new cafe. A good result. John Bunyan's theme is Remembrance, and the pictures were taken in November 2021 on a W3, starting with Peace Pigeon. We move to a crocheted Peace Dove. And now to a virally knitted Poppy Man. Each year this creation attracts much attention from locals and visitors. People relax and sit beside it on the seat. Buildings of the Ancient World is Barry Reynolds' theme, and all his images were taken with a Minolta A200 using Char-Char. First is the Library of Celsus at Ephesus. Next we have the Temple of Apollo at Corinth. And now the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. Finally, we have the Temple of Athena at Delphi. Kate Sullivan's theme is the East Beach at Shoebury-Ness, and her first image is of boys resting at low tide. Next is Sea Fog. And finally, Boat Repair, where hot tar is being made ready for application. Harry Atkinson's theme is the Windsor Great Park Illuminated event in December 2021. The first image shows Mary Paul at the entrance. The second picture, Lines of Trees and Lights, shows how the trees were draped with lights. This picture shows Mary and her friend Claire on an illuminated carousel. And the final image is flowers of light on the dark lake. Barry Aldous' theme is broody Canadian geese. Barry explains, "On my daily walk around the Kirklees Valley Trail, I came across this protective Canada goose, on guard. It was protecting its partner, who was brooding a clutch of 5 eggs. On subsequent walks, I was able to see the chicks being taught to feed. And then taught to swim. George Collins says, "Here are 4 images on the common theme of testing times, a COVID-19 lateral flow test kit. No doubt future generations will be curious to know what it was all about." Image 3 is a close-up of a swab, not a loo brush. Oh good, a negative result. These are images from the Model Railway exhibition at New Romney on the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch Railway. Brian Dunster comments, "It was an added experience to a great day out on the railway." Mary Paul's theme is COVID walks, and these pictures were from a walk in March 2021. Mary says, "This is Into the Mist, one of the many paths I found and explored. This one is called Welcome to Bearwood Church. Along my route, Bearwood Church's entrance is misty and moody. Next, Bearwood Cemetery. As I left the cemetery, a backward glance showed the misty cemetery framed by dark trees. Finally, headed home. Shh, don't tell anyone. A surprise discovery was a trail through the National Grid property. Its trail made me think of lions and tigers and bears. Oh my." Light sculptures is Andrzej Jablonski's theme. Andrzej says, "Recording an exhibition of flickering and pulsating light sculptures in a blacked out room was a challenge, but worth the effort." Watching the lights constantly change generated a cacophony of colour combinations and shadows. It induces a mesmerising effect on the viewer. Ian Hastie presents a set of images from the British show jumping national and academy championships at Stoneleigh, Warwickshire. There were 2 runners-up in the common theme category, and the first was Carl Bromwich with his theme Exploring the Local Canal, and the first picture is Canal Fun. And the second one, Hungry Ducks. Carl explains, Having recently moved house, I've been exploring my new surroundings. With the Leeds and Liverpool Canal just 5-minute walk from my house, and the famous Five Rise locks. Finally, this picture is called Our Lovely Home. The second runner-up was Dennis Bursma with his theme Colemanskop Ghost Town. Dennis explains, Colemanskop near Luderitz in Namibia was once the headquarters of Consolidated Diamond Mines. By the 1950s it was totally deserted, a ghost town slowly being reclaimed by the desert sands. The photos have been given a vintage black and white look to intensify the eerie atmosphere. The winner was Dana Kubik with her theme Sarah Everard Remembered. Dana says, on March the 3rd, 2021, Sarah disappeared never to return home. On March the 7th, police scrutiny of CCTV saw her being taken away by a policeman, Wayne Cousins. Cousins was arrested on March the 9th and Sarah's body found in a Kent forest on the 12th. The bandstand on Clapham Common, South London, became a focal point for the sorrow local people felt for the tragedy, with floral tributes being left, including mine. Many more would arrive throughout March as Sarah's story was deeply felt by people all over the country. Flowers were left with messages expressing sorrow and love. Wayne Cousins took a life but bonded a community.
Now we have the category Digital, Buildings Inside and Out. This attracted 28 images from 19 stereographers.
We start the buildings section with Jeff Ogram's image, Surprise, Surprise. This is a detail from the wall of the grounds to Cardiff Castle. This view of Carnarvon Castle is Keith Webb's favourite. This delightful village view was taken by Ian Hasty at Castle Combe in the Cotswolds. This interior corridor picture was taken by Dave Wynne at St David's Cathedral in Pembrokeshire, Wales. This hyper of Southampton Port by Andrew Hurst was taken as sequential photos from a moving ferry using the Fuji W3 in advanced 3D mode. Sunflower Sunshine is by Henry Mills. Two images now from Eddie Kwok. First he shows us this heritage building. And next this basketwork image that he calls Village. The next two images are from Reg Self. The first he calls Sunlit Deck, and it was taken on a cruise liner. The second is of St Clement's Church. Now we have two more images from Eddie Kwok, the first entitled Arch, and the second Kaiping Diolu. Diolu are multi-storied watchtowers, of which some 1800 exist in Kaiping, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Reg Self shows us Under Tower Bridge. This was taken from the paddle steamer Waverley. Jeff Ogram gives us Canopy of Mushrooms. This is a wooden structure located at La Encarnacion Square in the old quarter of Seville, Spain. And still in Seville, Nikolai Basov shows us San Telmo Palace. Jeff Ogram shows us a glass blower, presumably in France, as his title is Souffleur de Verre. This image of the LA Times lobby was taken in 2018 by David Starkman. Canterbury Cathedral Cloister is by Derek Medhurst. These Smithy's tools were seen by Mary Paul at the blacksmiths on the Society's outing to the Chiltern Open Air Museum. This view of Nantwich St Mary's choir roof was taken from the chancel by Bob Price. Rob Cayley shows us this spiral staircase and skylight. Tunnel Vision is by Andrew Hurst and was taken with a Fuji W3 in the marina at Southampton. There are 3 commended images in this category, and the first is Reichstag Reflection by David Kuntz. Next is Falls Mill, photographed by Lee Pratt. Also commended is Andrew Bloxham's image Knaresborough Station. There were 2 runners-up in the buildings category, and the first of these is this elegantly reflected image of St Thomas Becket Church, Fairfield, by Bob Taylor. The second is Bob Price's image Nantwich St Mary's Choir Stall Canopy. The winner is this fine picture of Raglan Castle in Monmouthshire by Kevin Harvey.
The next set of images is the work of selector Stephen O'Neill. The category Digital, Creative and Imaginative produced 22 images from 13 entrants.
And it's Kevin Harvey who starts the Creative and Imaginative section with this image, Catching the Train. Vanessa Grine shows us Alien Orchid, and she comments, "This heart of an orchid was already beautiful, but I like to edit photos to let you see something else. In this case, it looks like a little alien to me." Also by Vanessa, Ashes of Allah suggest a rare bird spotted in outer space. Vanessa and David Kuntz collaborated in the creation of this image. And here is David Kuntz's image, Luminosity. Keith Webb shouts, "Help! I'm in deep trouble!" Susan Pinsky's image is entitled Together Forever. Ray Macmillan shows us Revenge. A virtual walk around town is the work of Andy Raven. Colourful at Rest is another graveyard image from Susan Pinsky. Derek Medhurst calls this atmospheric image Light Through Darkness. Andrew Bloxham's image Knots Untied was taken at the National Waterways Museum at Ellesmere Port. David Ford shows us Hair with a Dash of Soap. Geometric Abstract is the work of David Starkman. Carl Bromwich invites us to look through The Window of Dreams. Neil Crick offers A Light Lunch. Whilst Kevin Harvey displays building block wizardry. A Place in the Sun is offered by Carl Bromwich. Look for the dancer silhouette on the left in this stereoscopic nebula drawing, Dancing in Space, by Vanessa Grine. The Arrival. This commended image, also by Vanessa Grine, is a Photoshop composition of several stereo images that she took at a winter light exhibition. This striking image by Kevin Harvey, called Double Secured Beach Huts, was also commended. The runner-up in this category is Spiderweb Orchid by David Kuntz. But the winner is this subtly treated and elegant composition by Carl Bromwich called Bubble Fun.
In the slide category, only one entrant submitted work, so we have just 5 images.
Francis Heath is the sole contributor in slides, and we start with his image Horses and Trap, Millas. Millas is in Spain in the province of Malaga. Next we have Cork Tree and Allotment, Istan. Istan is also in the province of Malaga near Marbella. Moving to Scotland now, we have Kinloch Rannoch and Schiehallion. The conical mountain Schiehallion was famously used in 1774 in an experiment to measure the mass of the Earth by measuring the deflection it caused to a pendulum. Next we have this interesting fountain photographed at Santa Cruz in Tenerife in the Canary Isles. But the image judged the best of Francis's slides, and therefore the winner, is this view of graves at Thesares near Malaga.
The category Digital, Man-Made Objects, attracted 43 images from 27 stereographers.
The first image in the Man-Made category is this vintage Cuban automobile by Brian Davis. Terry Turnber shows us Getting Up Steam. This is on the Durango and Silverton Railroad in the USA. This cruise ship image was taken by Andrew Hurst as sequentials from a moving ferry using his W3 in advanced 3D mode. He calls the image Hyper Cruise. Baby It's Cold Outside was taken by John Nichols. Whilst Lee Pratt shows us Above the Streets. Misty Cobwebs is by Mary Paul. Mary comments, although I'd passed this truck many times before, I only noticed the spider webs due to the mist that collected on the web. Survivor's Boots was taken by Ian Rawat. David Ford has spotted this crane and he sees it as a handy building aid. Getting Your Nose to the Grindstone is Ian Hastie's title for this picture taken at Avencroft Farm Museum. Monument to the Ancient Heroes is by Nikolai Bazov. It's the oldest monument in Moscow, dedicated to 2 Russians who organised the expulsion of the Polish invaders from Moscow at the beginning of the 17th century. Barry Reynolds shows us powerboat racing. This was taken using a Lumix G1 twin rig with hardwired external trigger. John Bunyan has been to the joke shop. John has also spotted these shelves full of miniature toys. Abandoned old ropes was seen by Rob Cayley. Whilst Barry Alders visited Buscott Park in the Cotswolds and photographed these terracotta warriors. Keith Webb took this photograph at an exhibition in London. He calls it, "It's comfy in here." This image from Brian Davis is from the National Memorial Arboretum, and it's the Fleet Air Arm Memorial. Bernini's elephant from the Piazza della Minerva behind the Pantheon in Rome is by Rob Cayley. Bob Taylor has rather ruefully entitled his image of a deep pothole, "Cyclist's Nemesis." Kathy Ford calls her architectural study "Reach for the Sky." Susan Pinsky shows us "Red One-Eyed Beast." Past Glories is Brian Davis's name for this racing car image. Through the Garden Gate was taken by Mary Paul at the Chiltern Open Air Museum. This garden was inspired by the works of Gertrude Jekyll. Jack Colbran visited Chepstow where he found this naval cannon. He calls the image "Big Gun Close." And Neil Crick calls this image "Man-Made Tea Time." Artwork display is by Jeff Ogram. Barry Reynolds has photographed Le Grand Éléphant, one of Les Machines de Lille at Nantes in Brittany. Whilst Andrew Hurst shows us shipbuilding in miniature, taken with a Lumix 3D1 at Buckler's Hard. This charming bronze statue was photographed by Keith Webb. He calls his image "All Alone." This exquisite 1st century marble sculpture, a statue of Eumachia, was taken by Momoko Nishio at the special Pompeii exhibition at the Tokyo National Museum. Nikolai Bazov has found these traditional fishermen's sheds on Holy Island, Lindisfarne. And RGB is by Kevin Harvey. Now, a nice pastoral image from Bob Taylor with a punny title, "Style Styles." Lee Pratt shows us the 4 presidents at Mount Rushmore. Loyal to the End captures a touching memorial to an equine friend, image by Susan Pinsky. Chainsaw Art by Ray Macmillan is the first of 5 commended images. Also commended, Andrew Bloxham shows us this small craft blown ashore at Emsworth Harbour. David Kuntz shows us this image taken at the Miniatures Museum. This weathered sculpted soldier carved from wood is another image by Brian Davis taken at the National Memorial Arboretum. The final commended image is by Roger Clements and features the silver Spitfire that flew round the world. There were 2 runners-up in the man-made category, and the first is Mount Rushmore Hyper by George Themelis. The second is the Fab Four Remembered, the bronze sculpture in Liverpool. This was taken by Rob Cayley. But the winner is this lovely vintage style image by Susan Pinsky called Bring the Car, Jeeves.
Selector Mike Hilliard provided the next set of images. The final category is Digital Natural History. Here, 22 entrants provided 47 images.
We start the natural history section with Tony Ford's image, I Am a Swan. The next image is by John Nichols and is called Gatekeeper on Rudbeckia Flower. Derek Medhurst tells us that there are some years to go. George Collins' picture, Skeleton Hollyleaf, was taken in his garden using his Fuji W1 on advanced 3D mode, macro at 15 cm and moved by 1 cm between shots. Tony Ford calls this image Forest Bug. While Ray Macmillan calls his image Inquisitive. Ian Rawat says, I spy a hoverfly. Waiting for a Bite was taken by Andrew Hurst on the Isle of Wight using a Fuji W3. Allotment Dahlias is by Roger Clements. This image of wildlife crossing a dual carriageway is by Jack Colbran. He calls his image Foliage Bridge. Frosty Holly is another image by Roger Clements. Bernard Foote shows us this hawk moth. Next, we have 2 images by Brian Dunster. First, Woodland Lily. And next, Feeding Swallowtail Butterfly. Chimp Skeleton and Monkey King were photographed by Dave Wynne. Brian Dunster calls this rhododendron blossom White Delight. This sprouting tree trunk is on a sawhorse. Image by Roger Clements. Jack Colbran says, swans are such elegant creatures. Chris Carter gives us Hydrodictyon reticulatum. This microscopic image has a 6mm field of view. The organism is seen as a nuisance alga, but has a wonderful 3D structure. Hanging baskets in Weebly Village, Herefordshire, were spotted by Andrew Bloxham. The village is famed for its many black and white timbered houses. Leaning Over is by Mary Paul, and Mary says, I liked the way that the broken branch curved over the top and the sunlight highlighting the moss on the bark. Andy Raven calls these discarded blooms Season over. And she calls this selection Colour and Shape. Inquisitive Robin was photographed by Bob Price on Bickerton Hill in Cheshire. John Nichols shows us a wood pigeon in flight. Meerkat Stance was captured by Barry Aldous at the Cotswold Wildlife Park. David Ford is convinced that these two lizards are flirting. Andy Raven calls this image a show. And beautiful is Andy Raven's title for this still life subject. Garden spider with prey was photographed by Paul Lund. Dennis Bursma spotted this resting rock hyrax. Glorious goods is David Ford's opinion of this wonderful selection of produce. And John Bunyan shows us autumn colours. Whilst puffballs were photographed by Cathy Ford. And Bernard Foote took this picture of iris seeds. Tony Ford calls this leonine image eye contact. Brian Dunster's name for this beautiful floral image is rhododendron. Small fresh red poppy is from the camera of Bob Price. Sulphur tufts were photographed by Tony Ford and is the first of 5 commended images. Also commended was this fine close-up of black mullein, photographed by Bernard Foote. The remaining 3 commended images are all by Andrzej Jablonski. First, Indonesian stag beetle. Next, honeybee on St John's Wort. Finally, spotted longhorn beetle on dog rose. Andre makes use of the Lumix 3D lens with flash for much of his close-up photography. There were 3 runners-up in the natural history section, and the first is Bernard Foote with Trailing Bellflower. Second is Bob Price with White Admiral Caterpillar, the 5th and final instar on honeysuckle. And the third is Andrzej Jablonski again with Dronefly on hemlock. But the winner is George Themelis with Busy Bee.
Each year we select an image which we regard as the standout image over all of the categories. Next, we look back at these overall winners from the past 6 years. In 2016, George Themelis was winner with this natural history study, Female Cardinal. In 2017, the winner was Roy Ashcroft with En Route to Blake Rig. Kevin Harvey won the award in 2018 with A Figure in the Arches. In 2019, Lee Pratt was the winner with Fishing in Colorado. In 2020, George Themelis was the winner with Hawk. And George was the winner again in 2021 with Pet Fox. We now recap on the winners from each of the 2022 categories. And now we announce that the overall winner of the Stereoscopic Society Annual Exhibition 2022 is Barry Aldous with Late Autumn Morning Walk.